Okay, let's move through it pretty quickly. Unfortunately, our place is not open on Sundays, so you can't have a look at it, but it is online, and there's a couple of links there. It's on the Sustainable House Day profile. It's our place. I'll just give a very quick run through. You get a picture. It's facing east. It's right in the CBD, southeastern corner. It's an 1874 built cottage at the front. So it's lasted 150 years, still going strong. And we've got a little garden out the front, which we are lucky. A lot of our street hasn't got a blade of anything green on it. We had this in front of us, which is a moderating influence. And out the back, we decided there was a lean-to, and it was in really bad shape. It was probably 70s, 60s, yeah, so it didn't last too long. The slab was cracked, it had no reinforcing, all sorts of, it was pretty terrible. So Paul came and helped us with designing the back end and also with some of the renovation in the front end. So we didn't want to knock out the old cottage. It's a very strong sense of community in our little street, and we also wanted to keep a low profile, but there's quite a few aspects of what we have there. Now, this back is facing west. Probably all going, shock horror. Okay, huge heat gain, yes. However, there's a big deciduous tree in the back that we did not want to knock over. We didn't want to fill in the whole yard. We wanted a garden that was pleasant and was nice to live in. So we have a trade-off. That's the first thing you've got to remember. Trade-offs are really big all the way through. So Paul and I would be having these battles about, no, we want less windows. No, we want more windows. It's double glazing, so of course it heats up really nicely in winter, but it can have its problems in summer. So I'll just talk about the objectives. Those are pretty much the same as what we heard from Mark earlier. So probably the same people kind of living in the place, very similar. You can see our little EV there. And you can see the contrast between the old and the new, the design. It's really quite a very aesthetically pleasing design that we've ended up with. Now, I'll just flick to Paul. You tell me about who might just talk about the design process.
Now, I've got to really sort of strain my memory here. This was a long time ago we did, well, it feels like a long time ago we did this, finished just before COVID, actually. The design sort of basically hinges around the existing house, very much so. So it's a refurbishment of the existing. And we did work on that as well, which I'm sure Mark will tell you about with the underfloor heating. It's a lightweight construction. You'll see in a minute it uses a wall system that we've been using since the zero carbon house, which gives us typically about a 5.2, 5.4 R value. Basically, from a brief point of view, it's a very, very important part that we actually have a structured brief, and that's really important from a client's point of view. We actually tease the client quite a lot. I don't mean sort of calling them names. We actually try to pull out information from those clients. Really, a lot of clients come to us with a sort of a want and a wish and a need. Sometimes it's not actually what they actually really want. And when you have a good conversation with them, a good dialogue, that's when you start to understand what they're really looking for. And I think we probably achieved that with your house, hopefully. I think the difference here with Mark is, because he lives in the house, he can give you a much better idea. I can just tell you the figures, and they're pretty boring, really. It's actually what the effect is at the end of the day. That's the important thing for the actual, how it changes the way you live in a house.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the really important things. And I'd have to say, and I'll say it right now, this is the most comfortable house I've ever lived in. I've lived in a lot of houses. Every one of them had the orientation the wrong way. Every one of them was like a glorified tent, really. And I've also lived overseas, and I know the difference. So again, that thing is terrible, what the sort of building we have here. In a lot of cases, that's changing now. It's fantastic. I would say also that budget-wise, this is a small place. We're 95 square metres, but we've got plenty of storage. We don't need more stuff. We just do not need it. I don't want to clean 160, 100, 200 square metres. It's a small place. It's good enough. There are two of us, plus a dog and a cat. It's really easy to live in, and it does have some low profile. It doesn't disturb the kind of aesthetics of the whole neighbourhood. So that was an important part of it. The budget, this was all my fault. It doubled, basically. So from where Paul was started and saying do all this, and then once we got into it, we saw how bad some of the stuff in the cottage was. We had to redo walls. When they pulled floorboards out, brick walls were just waving around in the breeze. So it went from 220, and by the time we finished it was about 440. That was all because we wanted extra stuff in. And we did much more in the front part of the house than we originally thought of. I do not regret it one bit. Was also extending the hydronics through the old part of the house, because that part of the house can be really cold. It's got a lot of thermal mass in it too. But yeah, just bear that in mind when you get some surprises. And it was certainly something that was a bit interesting. Materials, Paul, do you want to just talk about the construction, because that's your thing?
I will do very quickly. I've got a minute left. I'm determined not to go over. Construction, that's the wall system we use. So it's a 90mm frame. That's actually all we use, with typically a 2.5R insulation, and then we put another material over the top of it, which is a PIR foam, which gives us a very good insulation value, typically, like I say, around about the 5+. And that's something we've been using for many years now, tried and tested. R7 in the ceilings, otherwise it's very stock standard. There's no reason why any other house couldn't be built this way, with the exception of double glazing, which is something we've always used right from day one. And that's a UPVC window. I think a number of people here use them. So it's standard for us, standard for other people as well, but not for the industry, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're getting close. We're running out of our time, aren't we? I'm just going to try and wrap it up quickly. I just want to show you a couple of pictures. The living area, this is the area Paul designed to add on. Beautiful, bright, roomy, light. Yeah, I know, I'm going to fall off. Electrically operated clerestory windows. We've got a fantastic garden outlook too. It's comfortable, it's pleasing. You come home and you feel it's really important. The other part of it is it's easy to manage. There's a whole lot of that kind of stuff there. It's an oasis in the city. It's quite incredible for us to live in. A couple of things. The last point I want to make is that sometimes nothing is perfect. You can never have everything designed to match for all seasons, for all circumstances. Those windows on the north in winter give us about 5 kilowatts of free heating. Because the sun comes in. But the problem we had a couple of weeks ago, it was 34 degrees, and I'm getting this sun in there. Now, Paul did say to us, you've got to put in some shading. We weren't thinking about the north ones, we were definitely thinking about the west at the time, but this is something we're probably going to have to do, so we need to do that. We've done everything about heat, energy load shifting, and we've got some internal blinds that we've put in, and overall we drive the place, and that was something that Mark also said. You have to be aware of what's going on with the weather. Great place to live in. I think I'm out. Yep, that's it.